This project started about 5 years ago. I was attending a Unitarian church and they were always looking for people to share their experiences. And I thought, well, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder about 25 years ago, and I thought I could do some sort of educational program, you know, like pills, doctors, you know, what it's like to live with every day. So I sat down to write something, and I realized as I was writing that I was really only telling half the story, because bipolar disorder has had a great impact on my life, but it's also really affected the lives of my family and friends. And to do it justice, I needed to tell their side of the story too. So I knew my side of the story, but I thought I need someone to tell what we later termed the outside voice. And I thought, well, I have a sister, and she does a lot of writing and theater, and I thought maybe she'd be willing to work with me on the project. So I pitched the idea to her, and I was so happy when she said yes.
So, what we did first is we met a couple times and put together a survey of the questions that we wanted to ask everyone. And then we sent it out to everybody we could think of. Family, definitely, friends, coworkers, basically anyone who had interacted with Jennifer. Before and after. And then we met and we crafted it together into a script. So along with the answers to the questionnaire, we also had our sisters, our older sisters' diaries. Teresa had also been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and she died when she was 36 of a different cause, but we had her journals. So a lot of the language in the play is directly from her diaries or directly from the interviews. Some of it has obviously been crafted for drama, but that's how we came up with the script. Jennifer plays the person with the bipolar disorder. I play everybody else. So you will see different body stances for the different characters. When I'm the mother plays with her ring when she starts talking. The father stands with his hands folded because fathers do that. The sister will stand like this and play with her hair. The best friend from college always starts with her hands in her back pockets, and the spouse has hands in the front pockets at the beginning of most speeches. Other folks, I guess you just try to figure out what it is from the dialogue. We tried to work the dialogue so you would know who it is. So that is basically how we put this together. So thank you for coming.
Thanks.
And let's go.
Okay. My favorite memories are of summer trips to the beach when I was a kid. I would ride the waves and dig for shells and lie in the sand with my eyes closed listening to the surf. I loved spending time with my family, and I couldn't wait to go back year after year.
She was such a bright, happy child, the youngest in our family, my baby. There were hundreds of things that I worried about for her, but not this. Never this.
I can't really tell you what normal is like. I mean, I can't draw a line that says before this I was like everybody else, and then I wasn't. I just thought everybody felt the way I did. I was lonely for a boyfriend. I dreaded the teacher calling on me in class. I was annoyed by my parents. Isn't that pretty normal?
She seemed like a happy kid growing up. Of course, I was at work most of the time, but when I was home, she was always cheerful. Her older sisters used to send her to her mother and me to beg us for pizza for dinner. She was a cute little thing, and she could really wheedle.
There were times in high school when people bugged me about getting too thin. My sisters would ask, how can anyone forget to eat? But I would. I'd be so busy running around doing this or that, my mind racing in a million different directions, that the day would pass by without me noticing. Well, I hadn't eaten a thing.
We were close growing up, not just family, friends. I didn't always understand what she was going through, though, and Yes, sometimes her moods upset or annoyed me, but that was just the way she was, you know?
In college, things changed. I sometimes felt out of control, like I was taking on too much. I made a lot of bad choices, one right after another. Yeah, my friends were worried about me.
Things did change between us when she went off to college. What I saw as an intimate talk, she thought was crowding her. Giving her advice was trying to run her life. Joking with her friends was embarrassing her. You can only put up with that for so long before you figure out it's just easier to stay away.
Then my senior year, it was like a switch turned off. I stopped going to classes, I kept bailing on my friends. I could barely get out of bed. I couldn't understand why I was so miserable. I mean, I wanted to feel better, but I just thought things were the way they were and nothing was going to change.
We met freshman year and hit it off right away. We did not become roommates because we wanted to stay friends. So I didn't see the changes close up. But yeah, I noticed when she stopped coming to stuff. She always had a good excuse though. But things came to a head one day when she shut herself up in her room, crying uncontrollably and screaming at me to leave her alone. I had to get campus security and they had to call her parents to come. It took them a long time to get on campus. I couldn't understand it. I mean, yes, she'd been quiet lately, but she said that everything was all right. Why didn't she talk to me?
Okay, things were really tough for a while and anyone can let the pressure get to them. But I absolutely was not depressed. I don't want to get stuck with that label, and after a while, I got better. I knew that with school done, I could handle the future on my own without help.
I felt guilty after the first episode. Depression runs in my family. I've never been diagnosed with it, but had I somehow polluted her? Passed it on to her in her genes?
After a while, I started feeling disconnected from people. I was losing interest in my job and, well, everything. To try something new, I joined a Bible study group, but I guess it was obvious I was in trouble because the group leader suggested therapy, even recommended someone.
Disconnected? Yes, I suppose that's right. At first, we didn't really realize what was happening. We thought it was just a matter of bad timing, her not being able to come to family events. Her father and I worried about how overwhelmed she seemed to be. Sometimes she would say that she was coming, and then there'd be that last-minute phone call. That was almost worse. Looking forward to seeing her, and then the disappointment. When she did come, she was very distracted, quiet, not involved in conversations at all. She seemed impatient or bored. She never stayed very long either. She hurt us all so many times. Did she not realize it? Or did she not care?
Look, I know what they want from me. I get that I'm supposed to be part of the one big happy. But I can't breathe around their perfect family expectations. I see them when I can, but I've got my own life to manage. I feel stupid enough going to see a therapist. I'm definitely not telling them about it. When the therapist picked up the phone, I started crying so hard she could barely understand me. I didn't know I was so unhappy until that moment. It just all came rushing out.
I did not even know what bipolar disorder was when she was first diagnosed. I remember when our parents first told us thinking, oh boy, she really has them fooled. She does not have a mental disorder. She is just being selfish again, as always. I was angry for a long time. I mean, our family had been perfectly happy until she decided to rock the boat with this unreasonable demand for attention. Now, all at once, we have to bend over backwards to not upset her emotional balance? Meanwhile, she can treat me like shit and I have to take it because it's her illness talking. I may still be a little angry.
During my first 2 or 3 appointments, I cried so much that the therapist recommended I see a psychiatrist for medication. Then I could be clear enough to process my thoughts. Oh, it would only be temporary, just long enough to kickstart the therapy.
After college, I got a job, moved out of town, but we stayed in touch. So one day she calls me and she tells me what's going on. It was a relief, actually, finding out something really was wrong and it could be helped. Not cured, but helped. I felt bad for her. I knew that she would struggle with this diagnosis.
So far in my life, I have taken more than 30,000 pills for bipolar disorder. I started out lighter, but now I take about 13 pills a day. Oh, it's not that bad. It's worth it. I guess. You gotta wonder what it does to a body. Well, in order to enjoy the benefits of the drugs, you have to put up with the side effects. You do it because sometimes you don't have a choice, but you know, sometimes they really interfere with your life. Side effects include runny nose, sore throat, dizziness.
I am so grateful for the advancement in the treatment of bipolar disorder and the medications that are available now.
Exhaustion.
When she was first diagnosed, I did some research, and the things that people had to go through before this?
Insomnia.
Absolutely terrifying.
Memory difficulties.
Therapy can only do so much when it's a matter of chemical imbalance.
Double vision.
These medications are a godsend.
Suicidal thoughts.
When we became engaged, we moved in together, and that's when I learned the routine. Or what's supposed to be routine. It makes me crazy when she forgets to take her meds.
Increased appetite.
At least that's what she tells me, that she forgot.
Constipation.
I don't understand how you can forget something that's so important.
Anxiety.
Look, I bought her one of these alarm watches to remind her. She forgets to wear the watch.
Drowsiness.
We were out one day shopping together.
Restless feeling.
It was one of those sister shopping days, you know, where you're laughing a lot.
Hyperactivity.
Then all at once I realized she's paying for something and her hand is shaking so badly she can barely sign the receipt.
Hand tremors.
She tells me it's her medication. She had really beautiful hands.
I hate the waiting involved in taking meds. You decide to take a chance on a new prescription and you have to wait for weeks for it to work. In the meantime, you're looking out for side effects and scrutinizing your moods to see when or if the pills are working. You're praying that finally this time they will because your doctor says you don't have a lot of other options.
She told me once that medication constantly has to be adjusted, that your body adapts to what it's taking and after a while doesn't work anymore. So what you have to do is go off your medication, flush out your system, during which time you are probably going batshit crazy, and then start all over again. And she has to go through this for the rest of her life.
Have you seen that commercial? There's this sad woman, and she's walking around with a huge cloud over her head. And then she takes a pill, and it's still there, but now it's smaller and floating down at her heels, like now it's just one of those persistent little dogs, you know? It's annoying, but you can live with it. That's pretty much how antidepressants work. When they work.
Sometimes she stops taking her meds, and she thinks I don't know. Like I'm not going to notice that she is gradually getting more and more out of control. When I try to talk to her about it, she gets defensive, and we end up fighting. I'm exhausted trying to stay one step ahead of her. I'm afraid to sleep at night because I'm terrified she's going to take all her medication at once. I don't know how much longer I can do this.
Sometimes I feel like my doctor isn't being helpful at all. I'm so tired all the time.
Have you been getting enough sleep?
Pretty much, but I'm also having trouble concentrating at work, and I'm also
Have you been taking your medications regularly?
I'm also getting irritated at people all the time.
Have you been exercising regularly?
Look, I understand what you're saying, but I feel like I'm doing everything I'm supposed to, and I still don't feel right.
Well, what do you say we track your sleep and your exercise patterns for now, and we will stay the course on your medication?
I'm too tired to argue, so I agree to stay the course. And then I'm miserable for another 3 months. So I meet with him again, tell him it's not any better, and we change the meds. But the new meds don't work, and now I'm more of a basket case. Definitely worse off with the new meds than I was before. Doctor, I'm sorry, but now I feel much, much worse.
Well, your new medication really has not had time to take effect yet. I think we need to stay the course.
Among my other symptoms, I have developed a deep, deep hatred for the phrase, stay the course. I think it's code for, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Oh, but pay on the way out.
Patient is displaying signs of frustration and resentment. May need to adjust meds.
Being in therapy for bipolar disorder is constant navel gazing. You can't trust your emotions. You have a great day. You're excited about a new project at work. You have lots of energy and awesome ideas about it. And the first thing your therapist asks you is, do you think you're manic? Actually, a little mania is a very good thing. You're energetic and creative. People and things are more interesting. You feel a little sexy. Life makes you happy. It's really, really nice. It's annoying that instead of just enjoying my happy moment, I have to analyze it. I'm in a good mood, but wait, am I talking or thinking too fast? Is the happiness I feel related to what's actually going on? Do I feel the energy in my gut or in my head? How are other people responding to me? It gets so frustrating. I mean, the rest of the world can just enjoy a good day, but I have to put my little happy spell under a microscope because they think it might be mania and will only get worse.
Once you learn the pattern, you know to dread it. First comes the fun, animated stage, where you can believe that your happy child has returned to you. Then comes the supercharged manic state, where everything is fast and excited, and one day you realize she is not making any sense at all.
I am so awake, I can't sleep. My mind is going nonstop. I try to calm it down. Deep breaths, sleepy time tea, alcohol. But nothing works. And now it's affecting my job. I can't hold a coherent conversation because no one can keep up with me. It's hard understanding what other people are saying because my brain is talking louder than they are. I mean, my breathing is shallow, my body is wired, I'm almost vibrating.
I really can't keep up with her like this. She is involved in a million different projects, spending money like it's water, and she doesn't listen to a thing I say. She'll start off with one goal in mind, and she goes off in 7 different directions at once. Even when she makes a list of things that she needs to get done, she gets distracted. I come home and I find she hasn't done one thing that I needed her to do. But she is so happy over this one stupid, inconsequential thing she's been obsessed over all day long. Look at this, isn't it great? I don't know what to say.
I am spinning so hard and so fast, I can't slow down. It's crazy. I'm spending 2 paychecks ahead of myself. I can barely write. My hands shake so hard. My eyes have dark circles in them. I look like someone hit me. Oh God, I can't make it stop.
It is only a matter of time until she comes down off of that high. And the bigger the high is, the faster and farther the fall is going to be.
Okay, my brain isn't spinning anymore. Instead of 1,000 thoughts, I'm just thinking one thing. You incompetent, worthless, stupid jackass. You incompetent, worthless, stupid jackass. You incompetent, worthless, stupid jackass! It goes on for hours. If I'm by myself, I hum really loudly to drown it out, but when I'm with other people, well, I don't want to seem crazy. So I hum really quietly and dig my nails into my arms so I don't cry. I don't think anyone notices.
Absolutely. The worst thing about depression is the fear of suicide. But it's also hard just having a conversation with her. No matter what I say, she really doesn't seem to be listening. One time, I could have sworn that she was humming to herself, which was very disturbing. It's frightening, looking at this gray fog of a human being that used to be your sister. We've been married for years, and we had a system that worked. She does the finances, takes out the trash, does dishes. I go grocery shopping, I cook, and I do the yard work. We play to our strengths. Now, she sits around the house all day long, staring at me with dead eyes. No matter what I do, she barely reacts. I ask her to do the simplest tasks, and they don't get done. I didn't sign up for this, you know? I'm doing all the work in our life together, and I am exhausted. And the whole reason why she does the finances is because I'm not good at it. I am terrified that I am messing everything up, and I need help.
I try. I really do, but somehow I always get it wrong, and sometimes I forget. Sometimes I pretend that I forgot. It doesn't matter. Either way, I'm going to let you down.
I hired her for a job once. I knew that they were struggling financially, and I wanted to help out. It was very clear that something was wrong. She couldn't pull her weight. The rest of my staff had to do more work to make up for it, and That annoyed them. I couldn't put her on the schedule after that.
I know they think I'm selfish. I've stopped spending time with people and trying to interact at all. When people ask me how I'm doing, I just put them off with a short answer. I just want to get away.
How can I explain to you how it feels? My baby is slipping through my fingers. All her life, I have been her comfort and her protector. And now, I'm as helpless as she is. When she was little, she would come running up to me and she'd wrap me in a hug. Oh, so tight. She was wrapped around me like a vine. It was as if being that close to me made her feel safe. I wish I could keep her safe now. Help me. I don't know what to do. I'm afraid to go to work, and I'm afraid to stay home. I just want to sleep, but I can't even do that. Oh God, I want it to be over! I want it all to just stop.
I can make it stop if I just have the courage. Don't you understand? It has to stop.
I can't even think of the last time I talked to her face to face. I call and I leave messages for her, one after the other. Eventually she calls me back, I think when she knows I'm not at home, and she leaves me a message. She sounds awful, but she says she's all right. At least I know she's alive.
They call me to check in, and I know I should pick up the phone, but I just can't. I know that when I hear their voices, I know I'll hear frustration and hurt, disapproval. Voicemail can handle it better than I can.
I called her doctor to see if there was anything her mother and I could do. Could we have her committed to a hospital? Doing that might push her further away, but not talking to us is better than dead. Her doctor told me that he cannot share personal medical information about my child, but that her mother and I should continue to reach out. It seems like such a ridiculously small action to take when your child's life is at stake.
Oh gosh. I have to get away from my brain shouting at me and my body. It's aching from crying all the time. People expect me to acknowledge them. I can't talk to them. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Jennifer, what is it that you can't do? You could check into a hospital. You could get help there.
Am I really as crazy as the people around me? I can't think for myself anymore. I'm afraid I'll make a mistake. How stupid was I to want to come here?
So, she had been in the joint for a while, and I finally had time to go see her. And, all right, let's be honest. I didn't want to see her. I had an uncle who was diagnosed schizophrenic when I was a kid, and visiting him terrified me. I did not want to see her in there. But after a while, I sucked it up and I went. And it was pretty disturbing, especially when I bought her flowers, okay? I bought her flowers. And the nurse made me switch out the glass vase for a plastic container. It never even occurred to me that she could break a glass vase and, you know? So we're in the common room, and she seems happy to see me, but she's also really distracted by everybody else who's in the room.
Big guy never gets out of scrubs. His stomach hangs out, and he's always scratching his chest.
She keeps telling me things about her fellow inmates. That's her word for them. And she is getting more and more worked up.
Manic, drug-addicted, loud, annoying woman is yelling at the staff about the fire alarm again.
I mean, she is really getting pissed off about these people who, as far as I can see, are pretty much in a world of their own.
Weiner is pulling my puzzle pieces away from me.
Okay, well, yes, that woman was very annoying.
Thank you.
Look, I know it's not funny, but I have to laugh. I mean, I think I'm going to find myself in the middle of a nuthouse fist fight any minute. If I still had the vase, I could defend myself with it.
Sometimes I wish they wouldn't come to see me. They're so obviously uncomfortable and we don't have anything to say to each other. But the days when I don't have a visitor, yeah, they're pretty bad too. Great. Now I'm depressed and indecisive. But one day, I realize I'm kind of looking forward to Mom bringing me fries. And then there's a night when I sleep the whole night through. I suppose therapy's helping, but probably the biggest hint that I'm healing is that I want to get better. I want to go home.
I think she's getting better. When I visit her now, she looks at me and she seems interested, and she even smiles once or twice.
The world was bright and loud when I was released. I couldn't believe I could get in my car and go anywhere I chose. I mean, I could choose when to sleep, what to eat, whether to return phone calls. It scared the shit out of me. Now that I was out of the hospital, I wanted back in.
I am hopeful that when she returns, things will go better. When she was at her most depressed, the best thing I can say for her is that she showed up. I hate to say it, but I would have fired her months ago if it weren't for the union. It will take a while for her to regain my trust in her, if ever. Perhaps it would be better if she just got herself another job.
I am terrified to go back to work. My boss called the house almost every day when I was in the hospital asking when I'd be returning to work. I'm sure he was hoping I'd be out long enough that he could legitimately fire me. The first week back, I cry all the way into work and second, third, and fourth guess every decision I have to make.
Oh, I missed missed her at work. It is good to have her back, even though I can tell that things are still kind of hard for her. So I am going to make it my mission to get her out again and get involved in real life. You know, take her out to lunch and stuff. It will do her good to be out.
Shortly after I got out, I went to a concert with my friends. The music and the crowd drowned everything else out for a while. I loved it. After the concert, we went to the subway, but the platform was packed and there was nowhere to go. I scrambled to the escalator, rode back up to the top, and I started yelling at people. "Don't go down! You can't go down!" People were looking at me like I was crazy, but I couldn't stop shouting at them, "Listen to me! Don't go down! You can't go down!" Suddenly, it was like I was seeing my future. I was going to be yelling at strangers and talking to myself on buses, and everyone would look away and try to get away from me. That could be my future. That might be me.
You know, it's funny you should ask about that because I didn't think she was acting strangely at all. Did you think I was freaked out because of how she was acting? Oh no, it was very dangerous on that platform and people were being really stupid. No, if I was acting freaked out, it was because I couldn't find my fare card.
When I was first diagnosed, I thought it meant a lifetime of pills and doctors. Then I was hospitalized and it was so scary I swore I would never return to the psych ward. But I've been hospitalized twice now. I don't have any illusions about it. Odds are, I'll be back. My doctor says, not necessarily, but I don't know. I'm planning on fighting it as hard as I can, though.
It has been hard, but things are better now. What she's been through seems to have made her stronger. She's seeing her psychiatrist regularly, and she is taking her medication.
I've been with the same therapist for about 10 years now. He can call me out on my behavior pretty quickly because he knows me so well. If I'm struggling in between appointments, I have an imaginary conversation with him, and it often helps. We joke that I don't really need him anymore. His voice is permanently inside my head.
One of the things I admire most about her is that she's so real, solid, in a wobbly bipolar sort of way. She does not worry about all the rest of the crap the rest of us do. She knows what's important. And she's one of the bravest people I know.
I've learned that you can't assume your doctor knows best, that's for sure. After years of frustration, my new psychiatrist hears me, takes lots of notes, and makes good recommendations. Maybe my old doctor was hearing me, but he sure as hell wasn't listening.
Of course, I wish this away. I wish that life could be easier for my baby. But being bipolar is part of who she is, just like all the wonderful gifts that she has. She'll never be free of it, but she's fighting so hard to keep her balance. All that the rest of us can do is be there for her.
Each depression feels like it's worse than any other, and I think that this time I'm not going to get out of it. But therapy and psychiatry work, eventually. I know that I have just as much a chance as anyone at living a healthy life. But mental illness isolates you. It makes you think that no one understands you. They can't love you because you know you're worthless. So the one thing I'd like you to keep in mind when dealing with us is that there is a whole lot of pain and fear going on underneath. Just like there is for you sometimes, I bet. A dear friend of mine is fond of saying, everybody has their shit. This is my shit. I have a chemically unbalanced brain, and that's never going to change. I've learned how to deal with it, but every now and then I need a little patience and understanding to get through the day. Just like you. So, we're really not all that different. Thanks for listening.